Watching that story for us tonight, Ntando Mnyandu joins us now for more on the outcomes of that meeting. Ntando, good to have you, and thank you very much for coming on. What are we learning? Firstly, in terms of Amakosi that responded to this call, we know there is a letter that we now later learned that was leaked, directed to the king, in one of the chiefs saying it would be premature to have this meeting today.
You're spot on, Thabo. Good evening to you and to our viewers at home. Well, a lot has been discussed in that urgent meeting that was called by His Majesty King Misuzulu kaZwelithini today at the old legislature here in Ulundi on the northern part of KwaZulu-Natal. The letter you're referring to was written by the chairperson of the KwaZulu-Natal House of Traditional and Khoisan Leaders, Inkosi Usfiso Shinga, who was, seeking the audience of His Majesty King Misuzulu kaZwelithini, to holding this urgent meeting that he had called, calling upon all kings that serves under His Majesty King Misuzulu kaZwelithini to come and discuss the pressing matter of Ingonyama Trust, as you alluded in your intro, that they are concerned with the fact that the issuing of permissions to occupy the land and for any particular use is now, seized with the Minister of Agriculture and Land Reforms in the country. Well, Inkosi Rupert Shinga was not successful in trying to curtail or to request His Majesty King Misuzulu kaZwelithini not to hold this meeting with Amakosi here today. He was saying the meeting should take place after the king has met with the Ingonyama Trust Board to iron out certain issues that are of concern to His Majesty, who came very hard on Ingonyama Trust Board, saying that it's very difficult to work with it, saying that he finds himself bypassed with certain decisions that are taken, decisions that should, he should be consulted upon. Thabo.
What are these instructions that the king, as the chairperson of the Ingonyama Trust, would have issued to the board, but to the CEO in particular, that the Prime Minister says were ignored?
Well, some of those informations are privy to His Majesty and the board, as the day-to-day running of the Ingonyama Trust is handled by the board that should answer to His Majesty as the chairperson of the board and the sole trustee. But His Majesty feels that there are certain financial transactions that are being done without his consent, as the Prime Minister to the Zulu nation, Reverend Thulasizwe Buthelezi, says that they feel that the king is disregarded and disrespected by the Ingonyama Trust Board, particularly referring to the CEO of the board, Mr. Vela Mngwengwe, saying there is untenable relationship between the two, which then poses a threat because Ingonyama Trust is the custodian of more than 3 million hectares of land here in KwaZulu-Natal, land that is under the watch of Amakosi in different clans and different traditional authorities within the kingdom of the Zulu nation. So the king further went on to say he feels that now this matter should be taken up, and even approach the International Criminal Court, because he feels as if his authority is not, respected here at home. As he says, the office of the Minister of Agriculture and Land Reforms now is seized with the responsibility of issuing permissions to occupy land for any use. Thabo.
So it seems there is a sense that the minister is reneging on a 1994 arrangement. Of course, the minister has distanced herself from such. What did His Majesty have to say to the chiefs on that?
Well, particularly the person that was very emphatic and very strong at making reference to this agreement you're referring to, which was between the late former state president Dr. Nelson Rolihlahla Mandela, the founding president emeritus of Inkatha Freedom Party, the late Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi, and the president of South Africa at the time, which was F.W. de Klerk. That agreement was entered to on the 19th of April in 1994. So there is a clause on that agreement, which is clause number 4, which reads thus: any outstanding issues in respect of the King of the Zulus and the 1993 Constitution as amended will be addressed by way of international mediation, which commences as soon as possible after the said elections. Now, that was making reference to the elections of the 26th to the 28th of April 1994, when this country, or South Africa in particular, was ushering into democracy. So Prince Mangosuthu Buthelezi had said the IFP was not going to be part of the elections if issues pertaining to the land in KwaZulu-Natal is not addressed, and the powers that should be enjoyed by His Majesty King Goodwill Zwelithini, the late at the time, were not ironed out. So they were saying they would boycott the elections, but that 11th hour agreement saw the IFP coming into party and participating in the 1994 elections. But those agreements, according to the Prime Minister to the Zulu nation and His Majesty King Misuzulu kaZwelithini, they were never realized. That is a bone of contention, and that is the reason why His Majesty King Misuzulu kaZwelithini is seeking to approach the International Criminal Court to find justice on these matters and other matters that he feels should be addressed to that particular court, Thabo.
Ntando Mnyandu, appreciate your time. Thanks for joining us tonight. That's Ntando Mnyandu live for us there, where the Amakosi were gathered to listen to that address by King Misuzulu kaZwelithini.